ตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมพุทธายะนะโมธัมมายะนะโมสังฆายะ Good morning to all of you on the east side of the world. Good afternoon into the evening here to all of you in the United States. My eyes will be oscillating from left to right as I'm looking at YouTube also, in addition to Facebook and Instagram. I'm out here to give you all the good news that student Jorge and myself have spoken, and he has signaled his intention, the intention of becoming a novice monk. That was recorded live. Partial majority of that conversation was recorded live today on YouTube, on how my expectations are, and explanation of what it's like to be in the monastic order. The entry, ordination, and acceptance in the monastic order, and my standards, the School of Chidao's standards. And so this comes from, there's some things I just don't know. There's just so many students, but happy to announce that Venerable Lee and soon to be Venerable Jorge will be working together. I believe from a public standpoint that this is the very first of its kind where all three venerables have to work. That means instead of dedicating 100% of our time to study, practice, and meditate, the days have been broken up due to economic and financial difficulties. We all know recently Venerable Lee had to work from 8 to 4, now 8 till 5, and does not arrive back till 5:30. And having to use every single cent and dime to dedicate towards his study and practice. Jorge has been looking at the science of his own finance and has been helping us out tremendously. What moves my heart is when a student gives so much and have taken less, and the unprecedented respect that they have given. And Jorge is such an exceptional student. Jorge is 47 years old, single, and it's just exceptional across the board with all measurement, system of metric of measurement on the scale of respect, on the scale of generosity, dedication, and commitment to serving the people. Earlier, I set my expectations, and most around the world could say quite of a high expectation, as it should be. The monastic order has to ensure the purity and integrity of the Dhamma, purity and integrity of the Vinaya at all and any cost. We live in a world where trust is at stake and is of issue. In one of the sentences a scholar uttered online, that if there was ever a super legal drug, it should be trust. Without trust, there is no progress. And it is exactly that we need the people to trust us. And in order for the people to trust us as living Dhammas, living teachings of the Buddha, the monastic order has to carry themselves in the noblest way the world has ever seen, ever pressing and important and salient ever before. Because those who have gone before us, the ones who have made mistakes, we now have to live the blameless life. That is with any order, from the Catholic world to Christianity to Judaism, all the way to Buddhism, across all schools and traditions. I expressed that fully in my previous talk, which will be published again on Facebook, because there are times where conversations are sudden as the thought enters the mind, which translate into the oration, the oratory process, and at times I don't have enough time to fire up all of the social media, but only one, which is the unifying platform of YouTube. Students are free to change their mind. I know that. And it is with great joy that I believe that certain students will not change their mind, and that they will be diligent and persevere on this difficult path to show to the people that they are a representative of their human race, and that they can in fact achieve enlightenment and can in fact complete the threefold training: Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. Venerable Lee and myself have entered into deep discussions, and so we await for him to re-emerge within the next couple of days. There are challenges along the way, and I'm working out those details with each and every single student. And for the rest of you who I have been counseling on the phone, thank you for your patience, as these are some of the hardest and trying times. And as a teacher who is long overdue to travel, my traveling status may be inadvertently affected because of the new undertaking. So therefore, that is to be announced within the mid-July area, but does not affect the November 9th trip to Vietnam. Does not affect. So if you've already signed up for the trip to Vietnam, that is still ongoing no matter what. I have unshakable faith and conviction and belief that no matter where I am, the students will carry on the torch of studying and practicing and meditating to full capacity, as if I am still right there next to them. With that brings peace to mind, and I need not to worry about them falling short and fall prey to the 5 hindrances in Buddhism. As I am telling all of you this, Jorge just texted and he says it's going to be a historic moment. One of the things that bring joy to my heart is how grateful he is, and he does see in fact a mark it will make historically in his timeline, in my timeline, and within humanity's timeline, and will be written in the history book. The actions that he will take, that Venerable Lee have taken first, the gift of all giving, dedicating one's body, speech, and mind to learn what needs to be learned, to practice what needs to be practiced, and do what needs to be done in order to give all that back to the people. And he realizes that. And because of that realization brings joy to my heart, and should bring joy to all of your heart as you are watching and realizing what is about to unfold in the forthcoming days. It could be as soon as this weekend. So I have high expectations, but you all should not, because things are also subject to change, as always. And these are young students. They may be 47 years old, but they are very spiritually young. Therefore, they are subject to change, and circumstances change. Some of these students are still in the middle of their own storm, of their own family. But I will meet them where they're at and use the best available science we have until present day to use the Dhamma, to use psychotherapy, to use psychology, neuroscience, to help them understand where they're at and what needs to be done. So I have announced that everything we do will be public, so that the whole world can see our journey, how I teach, what I teach, when I teach, how I teach. Is very important. The methods laid here will be key and instrumental for the rest of the world to follow. I heed the advice of Professor Yuval Noah Harari very seriously about the emergence of AI, the negative aspect and influence of AI. Not because I am a pessimistic person, nor do I focus on the negativity in life. It is actually the total opposite. But when we do not heed the advice of other wise men, wise scholars of our day and time, then who do we blame when it does in fact come? So for the rest of you who are in fact watching, you all need to prepare the threat of AI to you, your emotions, how you're going to change, how it will affect your job, how you will change internally, what the impact will be emotionally for all of you, the losses that you will experience, and the resistance to change when that comes. Anyone who has studied the Industrial Revolution, which is the most latest one within our previous century, will realize that it was a very big shock to everyone. But it brought great news and improved our lives and longevity and happiness. But we don't know a lot of things about AI and the technological advances in the forthcoming days. What I do know within my own research and empirical observations is how much we are behind. As humans that we are lacking the understanding of the three marks of existence, of impermanence, of dukkha, which is change, and how certain things in our lives are rarely under our control. If we cannot rely on our own bodies, then what can we actually rely on in this world? So therefore, our religious practice is mind and body. So that, look at that again. The body of evidence is right here. If our own human body is unreliable, cannot be counted on, then what makes you think anything else in this world, materialistic world, impermanent world, can bring you stability and peace, safety and security? Question mark. I happily take this undertaking in the most difficult time in my life as a active working interpreter. And when people ask me, what do you do for a living? I said, interpreter. They said, is there a lot of Vietnamese people? And I said, yeah, I've been actively working for the past 19 years without a break. And for the first time in my life, in this particular year, within the past 5 months, have been drastically slow. I have reason to believe AI may have affected my profession, occupation, and work. So I'm frantically also trying to look at the science of my own life and see where I can fit perhaps a medical job in there, in the midst of training these two venerables. We need more monks in the world. No ifs, buts, and doubts about that, because the suffering will come. The intense of the stress will cause people to be more suicidal. We've already been suicidal. And now the emergence of the new evil of homicides and murder-suicide rates that we have seen across the news. So we need more monks to teach people how to suffer, because if they know how to suffer, they would suffer less. Because suffering is coming. The question for all of you is, do you know how to suffer? If you were to go into surgery right now, what will go through your mind? You know the existence of pain is inevitable. But the question becomes, how much will you suffer before, during, and after such surgeries? Because we're humans. We need to be fixed in the ways that we need to be fixed. If you were to die in the next 10 hours, what will you be thinking about now? If you were to lose a loved one, if you're married right now, or you have a loved one, if you're wearing a ring, what if they leave you all of a sudden? How will you be prepared for that loneliness? So rest assured, all of these existential issues in our life was ever present and will be pressing in the next years to come, months to come. I am talking to all of you across the world, millions of you at the time of this talk. So I know that there are hundreds and thousands of circumstances that change, that is unfolding and is about to unfold. With years of counseling, I know that someone's going to break up tomorrow. Tomorrow, maybe 20 of you are not going to wake up. 20 of you, 10 of you may have a stroke. A few of you are going to have life-changing diagnosis. So you must have to ask yourself, how will I prepare for some of these things that come abruptly and suddenly in your life? And so that is what monks teach. We teach you how to deal with life more effectively, so you have more peace in your life and know when to let everything go when that time comes. So you no longer take unfavorable rebirth and coming back as an amoeba in the ocean, or perhaps within a different race or an unfavorable realm, and so on, within the 6 rebirth realms in Buddhism. The merits that's being shared across the world and within the group of Sangha, let's call it the 3 Musketeers, Venerable Lee, Venerable Jorge, and myself. The 3 Musketeers, the first 3 Musketeers. Though I wanted to do this much earlier, but now the causes and conditions is right. So I hope to have all of your support. We're going to need it. When the next time we reappear, perhaps you will see all 3 of us sitting next to each other. We cannot do it without your help, without your donations and support, without the financial support, which will afford the 4 requisites that we need: food, medicine, clothing, shelter. And a special thanks to all of you who have donated so far. It is also my standpoint to perhaps canonize all of the previous donors, saints, under this school of Jidao. I visited Barnes & Noble lately, and there was a book on all of the Catholic saints. It's about an inch thick. I wonder in my life how many people I will make saints by virtue of generosity. Isn't it that the hardest thing ever to do is to give? And the one thing that everyone trusts or believe in, actually, is money. Hard-earned, working money. And when a person actually gives, they've thought it through. Why I'm giving. Who am I giving it to? Is it duly deserved? Is it within the guidelines of the Buddha? Is it within the guidelines of the Dhamma? And I look forward to embracing the challenges. And that is why I feel the need to report back to the people, which is all of you. I serve all of you. I answer to all of you. So therefore, my entire life has been dedicated to public view and public examination of this path, something that is quite unprecedented to see. The amount of hours that's being logged and the amount of empirical hours that is being displayed and demonstrated to all of you how a monk lives his life and how he will lead others to live their life. So in the forthcoming days, I will also ask those who would like counseling to reach out to my cell phone at 727-459-1697, and also know that I will ask all of your permission to record it live. That means that people can only hear your voice, cannot see you, so that you can inspire other people buying through your stories. The same thing I've done last year and the year before after that. I took a break from doing such sessions due to challenges that we were facing within the programs, particularly budget cuts. But all of you and new people who are coming in to TikTok, and this is Pride Month, so a lot of LGBTQ members, a lot of other members across the world has been reaching out. So please note that I am here and available for all of you. There's no such thing as too much that I cannot handle. Every day I come up with new systems of efficiency and effectiveness. So I look forward to counseling more people, and that the novice monks can also learn from and gain valuable clinical experience on this path with me. My end goal is to make them the next Buddhist psychotherapist, perhaps the best the world has ever seen. We are in competition with other countries, and it is my job to educate them Western psychology and Eastern philosophy so that they can meet all students, any students, where they're at in life. It can be done, and it will be done, because I have a method. So, they have a lot of homework to do, and all of you embrace and get ready for more excitement coming up with the emergence of Venerable Jorge, together with Venerable Lee, and hopefully everything works out within the timeline here before wrapping up this year. Just that was a medical case for tomorrow. So I'd like to end this conversation. I'm pretty sure you all have questions, and if you have questions, please send it to my direct message and or email at the number 1 Vietnamese interpreter at gmail.com. So once again, those who would like to travel with me in November, please consider visiting the Linktree, because the time is closing in, particularly August, that your commitment needs to be in by August according to Trover Trips policies. They just run it. I just remind you all, if you want to take a trip of a lifetime there. And I think that should be it. I don't think there's any more on my mind. So we will meet again live in the forthcoming days. So thank you all for being wonderful listeners. And again, a reminder to study and practice and sit 5 minutes, at least 5 minutes each day, to meditate, to let things go. Negative acquired emotions, negative acquired bad habits. May you all be well, be happy, be free, and always be healthy. And never stop giving. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.